Welcome to my channel! Learn with Teacher Ali!
Grade 2, Revised K-12 Curriculum, Quarter 2, Mathematics, Week 2, Day 1. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to compare the values of different denominations of peso coins and bills up to 1,000 pesos.
Determine the amount of the peso bills, then write your answer on the blank provided. Students, how do you determine the amount of money from combining peso coins and peso bills? Today, we will learn how to compare the values of different denominations of peso coins and bills up to 1,000 pesos. Here are some words that we could tackle during our lesson for today. Let us read the problem below. Problem number 1. Princess organized a donation drive to buy art supplies for an outreach program. She has 2 envelopes with money from different groups. Which envelope contains a greater amount of money? This is the envelope number 1. And this is the envelope number 2. Why did Princess organize a donation drive? How many envelopes containing money did Princess collect? What are the different peso coins and bills you can see in envelope A? What are the different peso coins and bills you can see in envelope B? What should we do to determine which envelope contains a greater amount of money? Read the problem carefully. Write your solution and answer in the space provided. Princess organized a donation drive to buy art supplies for an outreach program. She has 2 envelopes with money from different groups. Which envelope contains the greater amount of money? Write A or B in the blanks. May I ask some volunteers to share their solution? Do you have a different solution from those presented? Share it to us. Below are possible ways of solving the problem. How did you compare the amounts of money in envelopes A and B? Let us count aloud the amounts of peso coins and bills in envelope A. 200, 300, 400, 500, 520, 525, 526, 527, 528, 529. This means that the amount of money in envelope A is 529 pesos. Let us count aloud the amounts of peso coins and bills in envelope B. 200, 300, 350, 400, 420, 440, 460, 465, 470, 471, 472. This means that the amount of money in envelope B is 472 pesos. Which envelope contains a greater amount of money, A and B? Therefore, envelope A contains a greater amount of money than envelope B. If envelope A contains a greater amount of money than envelope B, we can also say that envelope B contains a lesser amount of money than envelope A. How did you compare the amounts of money in envelopes A and B? How did you match the money in envelopes A and B? Which peso coins or bills were left in envelope A? Let us count aloud the amount of money left in envelope A. 100, 101, 102. This means that the amount of money left in envelope A is 102 pesos. Which peso coins or bills were left in envelope B? 20, 40, 45. This means that the amount of money left in envelope B is 45 pesos. Which envelope contains a greater amount of money, A or B? If envelope A contains a greater amount of money than envelope B, we can also say that envelope B contains a lesser amount of money than envelope A.
Suppose Princess adds 57 pesos to envelope B. What will the new total amount of money in envelope B? This is the money in envelope B after adding 57 pesos. $472 pesos plus 57 pesos is equal to 529 pesos. Therefore, the new amount of money in envelope B after adding 57 pesos is 529 pesos. In this situation, what can you say about the amounts of money in envelopes A and B? How do you compare the amount of money combining peso coins and bills? Write the amount of money for each set of peso coins and bills in the blank space. Then, compare the amounts by writing greater than, less than, or equal to in the box provided. Grade 2, Revised K-12 Curriculum, Quarter 2, Mathematics, Week 2, Day 2. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to solve problems involving addition with sum up to 1,000, including problems involving money, with or without reg grouping.
Write the amount of money for each set of peso coins and bills in the blank space. Then compare the amounts by writing greater than, less than, or equal to in the box provided. Let's add the numbers below. Today, we will learn how to solve problems involving addition with sum up to 1,000, including problems involving money with or without regrouping. Here are some words that we could tackle during our lesson for today. Let us read the problem below. Brian is preparing for the new school year and needs to buy school supplies. He has a budget of 1,000 pesos. He can still use some supplies from last year, but he is excited to buy 2 new items from the bookstore. Here is a list of school supplies Brian is considering. What 2 school supplies can Brian buy with his 1,000 pesos? What items is Brian considering to buy? How much money does Brian have for his school supplies? Brian has a budget of 1,000 pesos. A budget is the amount of money Brian is allowed to spend on school supplies. This means he can only buy 2 items with a total price that is less than or equal to 1,000 pesos. How many new school supplies does Brian want to buy from the bookstore? How would you know if Brian could afford the price of the 2 items? Let us read the problem below. Brian is preparing for the new school year and needs to buy school supplies. He has a budget of 1,000 pesos. He can still use some supplies from last year, but he is excited to buy 2 new items from the bookstore. List 5 pairs of school supplies. For each pair, write the names of the items and find their total price. Share which 2 school supplies they think Brian can afford within his budget of 1,000 pesos. Students, how did you add the prices of the backpack and the set of watercolor brushes? This means that the total price of the backpack and the set of watercolor brushes is 914 pesos, which is less than 1,000 pesos. Therefore, Brian can buy a backpack and a set of watercolor brushes. This means that the total price of the water bottle and color pencils is 783 pesos, which is less than 1,000 pesos. Therefore, Brian can buy a water bottle and color pencils.
This means that the total price of the dictionary and umbrella is 844 pesos, which is less than 1,000 pesos. Therefore, Brian can buy a dictionary and an umbrella. This means that the total price of the lunchbox and a set of notebooks is 560 pesos, which is less than 1,000 pesos. Therefore, Brian can buy the lunchbox and a set of notebooks. This means that the total price of the water bottle and lunchbox is 979 pesos, which is less than 1,000 pesos. Therefore, Brian can buy the lunchbox and a set of notebooks. Below are other possible pairs of supplies that Brian can buy with his budget of 1,000 pesos. Students, can Brian buy the backpack and the water bottle? Why or why not? 799 pesos plus 625 is equal to 1,424 pesos. This means that Brian is short by 424 pesos to afford both the backpack and the water bottle. What are other pairs of school supplies that Brian cannot afford? How do you add amounts of money? Complete the money pyramid by starting at the bottom row, where you will see money amounts in the boxes. Add two amounts that are next to each other and write their total in the box directly above and between them. Continue adding each pair of amounts from left to right, moving up to the next row until you reach the top. Show your solutions on a separate sheet of paper. Grade 2, Revised K-12 Curriculum, Quarter 2, Mathematics, Week 2, Day 3. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to use measuring tools like ruler to measure lengths in centimeters, and estimate lengths in centimeters. Now, measure your armchair or desk using your handspan. A handspan is the distance from the tip of the thumb to the tip of the little finger, with the hand fully extended. It is a non-standard unit for determining lengths. How many handspan is the length of your armchair or desk? Now look at the teacher's rectangular table. How many handspan do you think represent the length of the rectangular table? For teachers, measure the length of the table using your handspan. Record the measurement in the table below. Call on one learner to measure the length of the table using her handspan. Guide her as she takes the measurement. Record the measurement in the table below. Today, we will learn how to estimate and measure lengths in centimeters using appropriate measuring tools. Here are some words that we could tackle during our lesson for today. Students, did we get the same number of handspan for the length of the rectangular table? Why?
Each person's handspan varies in size, leading to different measurements for the same object. This shows how many standard units of measurement can lead to varying results. This necessitates the use of standard units to report the length of an object accurately. Standard units are commonly used to measure the length, width, height, thickness, and other characteristics of objects and people. Using standard units makes it easier for people to understand and compare measurements accurately and effectively. What is a standard unit? It is commonly used to measure the length, width, height, thickness, and other characteristics of objects and people. Students, can you take out your rulers?
There are two types of rulers that learners might have. Ruler A, which has centimeters, and ruler B, which has millimeters. These longer lines indicate a centimeter. A centimeter is one of the standard units used to measure length, and it is written in symbols as cm. How many centimeters are there on a ruler? I will show you some illustration on how to get the length of an object using ruler A. Remember that one end of the object should be aligned with the 0 mark on the ruler. There are 30 centimeters on a ruler. The numbers we see next to the smaller lines indicate divisions within each centimeter. Let's count how many smaller lines are there before the first centimeter mark. The first centimeter mark is at the 10th line after the smaller lines, which is why the number 10 is shown instead of 1. Each of these smaller divisions represent a fraction of a centimeter, helping learners understand the relationship without explicitly mentioning millimeters. I will show you some illustrations on how to get the length of an object using ruler B. Now, take out your books. Measure the length of your book using a ruler. The length of the book is the measurement from the top to the bottom of the book when it is lying flat. Here are the directions. Number 1. Place the book flat to the surface and position the ruler next to it. Number 2. Align the 0 mark on the ruler with either the top or bottom edge of the book. Number 3. Read the measurement by noting where the other side of the book aligns with the ruler's markings to determine its length. Write the actual measurements during the discussion. Use the following phrases if the measurement is not exact. Here is the actual results. The book length is 28 cm or 28 cm. What do you think could be the possible reasons why your measurements are far from the actual results? Remember, the ruler should be properly aligned with the object being measured. One end of the object should be aligned with the 0 mark on the ruler to ensure an accurate measurement. Can you determine the width and thickness of the book in cm? The width is the measurement from one side of the book to the other when it is lying flat, while the thickness is the measurement from the front to the back of the book. Students, how will you measure the height of your classmates in centimeters using a ruler? You can also use different measuring tools that are longer than the ruler. This is a meter stick. How many centimeters there are in a meter stick? The length of a meter stick is 100 centimeters. This is a tape measure. How many centimeters there are in a tape measure? The length of a tape measure is 150 centimeters. Which one is longer, the meter stick or the tape measure? Which one is the longest among the three measuring tools? Which is the shortest? Which tool is more appropriate to use for measuring the height of the learner? Why? Use a meter stick if the learner is shorter. A meter stick is more convenient for measuring height as it is rigid, stable, and easy to read, ensuring accurate measurements without requiring assistance. Now let us measure the height of the tallest learner in the class. What do you think is his or her height in centimeters? Let us measure the learner's height using the meter stick. May I ask a volunteer to measure the height using the tape measure? Did we get the same height? May I ask a volunteer to measure the height using the ruler? Did we get the same height? The 1 centimeter on all measuring tools represent the same length. This consistency in measurement allows us to compare heights or other lengths accurately regardless of the tools used. In case there are differences in the reported height using the measuring tools, what do you think is the possible reason? For a teacher, prepare the following strips of paper to provide each group for a group activity. Directions. Group the learners into groups of 5. Distribute the 3 strips to each group along with a copy of AS3. Explain the instructions in the worksheet. Are you ready, students? Using the 3 strips, do the following. Number 1, estimate the length of each strips in centimeters. Number 2, write your estimated length in the second column of the table. Number 3, wait for your teacher's signal to measure the length using a ruler. Number 4, write your measured length in the last column of the table. Can you share something about your experience in measuring and estimating lengths in centimeters? Do you find it difficult or easy to estimate and measure lengths? What standard unit of measure did we study today? What is the symbol for centimeter? What tools can we use to measure length in centimeters? How do we measure the length of an object using the measuring tools? Write the letter corresponding to your estimate of the length of the given objects. Grade 2, Revised K-12 Curriculum, Quarter 2, Mathematics, Week 2, Day 4. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to measure distances in centimeters, estimate distances in centimeters. Write the letter corresponding to your estimate of the length of the given objects. What standard unit of measure did we study yesterday? What is the symbol for centimeter? What tools can we use to measure length in centimeters? How do we measure the length of an object using the measuring tools? Today, we will learn how to estimate and measure distances in centimeters using appropriate measuring tools. Here are some words that we could tackle during our lesson for today. Yesterday, we measured the length, width, and thickness of objects, and even the height of a learner in centimeters. Today, we will measure distances in centimeters. Distance is the amount of space between two objects or people. May I ask two volunteers to come to the front and stand in the middle of the classroom? Can you stand back to back? Can you step forward once? When they move apart, they create a space between them. The amount of this space is the distance between Aldrin and Ada. Now, how can we measure the distance between Aldrin and Ada in centimeters? Now, I will mark the back of the foot of each volunteer using masking tape, erasable marker pen, or chalk. Answer the following question. Make a statement on the distance between blank and blank. May I ask two volunteers to measure the distance? Now let's have a group work. Are you ready? For teachers, divide the learners into small groups. Pause the eraser, glue, and marker pen on the board using masking tape as shown in the illustration. Can you name the objects taped to the board? We can see that the three objects are apart from each other. Look at the glue and the marker. Can you estimate the distance between the glue and the marker in centimeters? May I ask two volunteers to measure the distance between the glue and the marker? Now, can you estimate the distance between the marker and the eraser in centimeters? May I ask two volunteers to measure the distance between the marker and eraser? Now, can you estimate the distance between the glue and the eraser in centimeters? May I ask two volunteers to measure the distance between the marker and eraser? Now let's have another group activity. Are you ready? Retain the groupings. Use the space in the middle of the classroom for the next activity. If there is not enough space in the classroom, you can conduct this activity outdoors. Use tape, erasable marker pen, or chalk to draw a starting line. Ensure the floor is not slippery. First round of jumps. Select one volunteer from each group and have them stand behind the starting line. Explain that on the count of 3, all volunteers will jump forward as far as they can from the starting line. Instruct the other group members to mark the distance their group mate jumped from the starting line using tape, chalk, or erasable marker pen. For second round of jumps, call for another 5 volunteers, one from each group. These volunteers will jump from the mark left by their group mates. Let the other members mark the distance of this second batch of jumps. Third round of jumps. Repeat the process by calling another 5 volunteers, one from each group, to jump forward from the second jump marks. Marks the jumps for this round as well. Record the distance of your jumps in the table below. Then, show your solution for finding the total distance or the centimeter you jumped. What standard unit of measure did we study today? How do you measure the distance of two objects or persons using the measuring tools? Write your answer to the questions in the space provided. Estimate how far Edna must walk in centimeters to reach point A of the second chair from point O. Grade 2, Revised K-12 Curriculum, Quarter 2, Mathematics, Week 2, Day 5. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to follow directions on the given test and answer the test correctly and honestly. Second quarter, first summative test in Math 2. Good job, everyone! End of Week 2.
Thank you for watching! Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell for you to be updated on our latest videos. See you on our next lesson. Goodbye!